now. And so that relationship, with that relationship, you can do basically anything, you know. Just take a look here. Let me just expand this. Perfect. 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 The reason I have this here is because then it's quickly accessible, you know, or I can just shift click this into the sidebar, and that's what you want. You want it so easy where it's right there so you can get to work. I think you understand that. Perfect. Yeah. Can one chapter equal one relevant note? Can one chapter equal one relevant note? What does that mean? You mean one permanent note?
Yes, sorry, yeah, permanent note.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, relevant note is at the top, so I get what you're talking about. Can one chapter?
Yeah.
Why?
Because honestly, because I'm at the learning stage and everything's so overwhelming, I'm reading a chapter and I'm like, okay, what's the summary of this chapter? Can I force out a summary from this whole chapter? Although I understand that there's going to be like, let's just say a paragraph level, there's going to be like different extractions I can make from that chapter. So what I've been doing is reading the chapter and trying to make a grand pull out what I think the summary of that chapter is and turn it into.
Did you do the photographs?
No. Oh, a few weeks ago. Yeah.
I don't see them.
They're on my. So the photograph exercise is on my main page.
Yeah.
It definitely should be there.
It should be day 17. Oh, here we go. Okay. Why didn't you go back?
You mean like second pass, third pass?
Yeah.
Yeah, I became overwhelmed. It was at that point I was like different stage.
That was the point. That was the point. I can't teach someone the pain of overwhelm. You have to experience the hot stove. And you go, I'm going to do everything to avoid that for the rest of my life. And to sit there in the excruciating pain of looking at this picture like, what the hell is he trying to get me to do? But the point of that is that, though, because there was another gentleman who didn't ask, he just did it. He did a whole chapter. And I was like, what are you doing? How is that a fleeting note? How are you going to extract? How are you going to respect what the author has done and spent days, weeks, months to write, making sure that every word in every sentence was the right word in every sentence, and every sentence was the right, like the right sentence in the right position for each paragraph, and then each paragraph was going to be in the same right position for each, you know. And then you're going to take that whole thing and you're going to go, I'm going to disrespect you and just go, I'm going to summarize that. Do you know what I mean?
I do, yeah.
And that's what happens is when you do that, there's a disconnect between the relationship between the fleeting note and the literature note. That connection is important because that prevents the overwhelm. Because you realize that it's not about the chapter. It's not about the books. It's not about the amount. It's not about the quantity. It's about the quality of it. And so I was going to make the other guy redo 17 over again, 17, 18, 19. But it's okay. We're just going to move forward, right? And I think it's important to realize that there is that important step of going into that, extracting all you can, going to literature, extracting all you can, which you did, and then understanding that that process takes time. And because it takes time, we have to be discerning with what we're taking in. And this is the sort of, like, what does it say? You want to overcome a long life of addiction to purposeless living. That's what we're doing right now. We're saying, hold on. I'm going to, like, if you want to enter my brain, you're going to go through this little keyhole. And that's going to be my fleeting notes, And it's like, if you open it up too wide, you're going to get flooded with information again. And then it's overwhelming. So, yeah.
Super interesting, bro. Because at that stage, at day 17, when I was going through this, honestly, even I think I was on one of the Sunday calls, and the way people are talking, I just knew, and I know how I am, that I wouldn't get it. That all this would just be too complex. And that's why you see there on day 17, it's like, well, even if I do it, I'm just going to be going through the motions. I'm not going to understand it. So it's a confidence thing. And now I'm putting in more of the work. My work's increasing, the more I feel like there's less of a learning curve, which feels like it goes against, like, I'll put in the hard work and you get in the reward. Yeah. But with me, it's like, I'm starting to believe that I'm understanding it. So I'm putting in the work. So I feel like that was the cause, confidence, that in the long term, I'm not going to pick this up. It's too esoteric.
Huh. It's so interesting because I've been flooded with people saying it's so simple. And it's just like, even on the Slack channel, I'm just like, it is simple, and it's only simple after you see it and after it clicks. So let's make it click. Okay. Can you clarify the difference between the main permanent notes page and the relevant notes we make using the permanent notes index? I'm guessing we pull the index conversation. What I'd like for you to do is I'd like for you to can you share your screen?
Yeah.
I just want to watch you create a permanent note. That's the best way to see someone's mechanics. I want to see your golf swing. This is what a coach does. Tiger Woods has a coach. Michael Jordan had a coach. I just want to see what your golf swing looks like, or your tennis swing.
Okay. Let's do this. How do so zoom?
The little green button that says share screen.
Here we go. Yeah.
Let's take a look. And you have captured in here, right? Yeah, you do. You got plenty. This is perfect. I mean, obviously you understand the process though. I mean, I'm looking at your permanent notes. You understand how to do it.
Doesn't seem to be working.
The green square, the green share screen.
Yeah, just one sec. Let me try.
Maybe it's permissions on the computer. I know that there's sometimes you have to like allow for Zoom to use your screen capture or screen share.
I think I know where it is. Can you literally hang on 2 seconds?
Yeah, of course.
I'll use my other laptop. I always have a problem with permissions and stuff. This is on my work laptop. Hold on.
You're my last one for the night, so there's no rush, okay?
Okay. All right. And then get some sleep.
I gotta edit a video. So yeah. The night's not over yet.
I don't know how you do it. I wake up, especially, when you're doing the daily videos, I'd wake up. That'd be one of the first things I check. It'd be a square box with your face on it. I was like, how do you do this? Okay.
I was talking about it earlier, but it's like this is why it has to be free, unfortunately. Because it's so good, it works so well that if I made people pay for this, it would make people think that I was selling it. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah.
And it sucks because, like, listen, I can use the fucking money. You know what I mean? I can definitely, like, you know what I mean? But it's like, no, the power of this is the fact that it works so well. And people need to know about it, man.
I was asking myself the same question, actually. Hang on. It's two of me.
You want to mute one of them so there's less echo?
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it like, I'll just make a bunch of YouTube videos, become a YouTube star, and, sell advertising. That's the only way to do it. You know what I mean? Because this is too valuable in regards to life-changing, and I don't want anyone to have an excuse to say that it doesn't work,
Okay.
And just go ahead and open up your captured page, and we'll work out of there. How long have you been using Roam? I can't hear you though. You have to unmute now. Unmute this one. Yeah. Now I can hear your audio. Check. Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect. This is perfect. Awesome. Let's take a look. Let's go to your captured page and let's walk through it.
Okay. You can see everything.
Yes.
Oh, I'm on a different graph, no wonder.
It takes forever to load. I mean, we've crossed 100,000, I'm sure. Like,
wow.
Yeah, I mean, we blew by Rome Book Club 2 and Rome Book Club 1 combined, and it's just we crossed the hardest part is getting people to write in Rome, and just to write, and that was the metric that I was going for in regards to, like, getting people to get going, and if you can get people into Rome writing, they're gonna get hooked, and it's so powerful, man.
I've started using it for work this week.
Huh?
I've started using Roam for work this week.
Yeah.
Working on a project and trying to make sure that every input that I need to remember is on there. That's my use case as a starting point, having one central place, and I'm like densely linking certain, like, people's names who I have frequent interactions with.
Yeah.
It is frictionless in the indentation, I find. Like, you're just typing indent, type indent. It's nice.
Yeah.
Nice feeling. Okay.
It's an automatic structure,
Yeah. Okay.
Perfect. And I'd like for you just, I'm a fly on the wall. Just do what you're gonna do, and I'd like to just watch. I'm going to mute myself and just let me know when you're done, okay?
So you want me to do what exactly? Create a permanent note, did you say?
Create a permanent note in real time, yes.
Okay. All right, well, so I'm looking at one that I started and then I kind of like.
Can we do one that you haven't started yet?
Yeah. All right, cool. So because I haven't read every single one, I've been like picking out chapters. I'm going to pick out this one. This might be a bit boring for you.
I have to see the mechanics. I have to see it all. I'm a goddamn surgeon, bro.
Okay, so this is how I do it. Like, I highly recommend treating a digital note as if the space were limited. By restricting ourselves to one format, we also restrict ourselves to just one idea per note. Kind of like links to what we were talking about a second ago.
Write it down.
Isn't it?
I'm not here. I'm a fly on the wall.
So I'm trying to remember this prompt. This reminds me of my question. About
Hold on. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Still with me?
Yeah. What happened? What are you doing?
How do you mean?
Yeah. Go ahead. Capture the reference note.
Oh, okay. Oh, see. Oh, I know what you're saying. Okay, cool. This is where I've been going wrong then.
Yep.
Because I've been reading the whole thing, and then
the reason that you want to get rid of those the bold, yeah.
oh yeah.
The reason that you want to back on the browser. Let you settle in first. You have to go to the right of it, to the right of the bullet point little stars. So you have to edit the block. Yeah.
There we go.
There we go.
Whoops, no, that's the actual block.
Perfect. You can go back in the browser. It should take you back. And then let me just stop you here for a second. Let's go to, you see the top level bullet point, the bullet that has relevant notes on there. Let's click on that one real quick so we can get in focus. The top one, that works too, I guess. Yeah.
This one, yeah?
Yeah. Let's go into focus mode there. Let's close your left sidebar just so we can clean things up and just have focus mode here. Yeah, close that sidebar. Okay, cool. Now, I just want to mention one thing. When you capture this fleeting note, you want to make sure that there's as least amount of friction as possible, because these things are ephemeral. And what I mean by that is I have a workflow where when I have a fleeting idea as I'm watching a lecture on YouTube, I do a Siri shortcut. And one of the things is part of the shortcut is I have to do the timestamp, right? And me verbalizing and remembering the timestamp as I waited for Siri made me lose the fleeting thoughts. And then I realized that instead of me verbalizing it, if I just type 32 minutes and 50 seconds in, then I didn't. And that's how ephemeral these ideas are, because it's just that little spark. And you don't know where that spark is going to go, but that's the whole idea of a fleeting note. And what happens is as you start building out your Zettelkasten, you're not even reading the books anymore. You're not even reading the articles. You're thinking about all the other notes that you've already written that are in this system, lightweight structure that you can trust in. And what happens is that's the communication partner. And I can't explain that. I can't tell anyone that in an hour. There's no way. It's impossible. Look how long it took for us to get to this point. I can't write an article about it. You can't explain it in an hour video. But that's the communication partner. And so this little fleeting note right here, is this going to be, if you came back to this idea tonight to process it, would you know what was going on?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And the reason I would.
Yeah.
The reason I would is because I know what I mean by the way I write, because I write in the same way.
Perfect. Would you know what this meant 2 days later?
Yeah, I think I would. But I think obviously if it was just a first pass, there's a risk.
Would you remember this a week later? The aha moment.
So let's say this was an aha moment right now, and I left it and it came back in a week.
It was an aha moment. I mean, this was an aha moment. I'm tripping out. I can't believe you found this one of all the things.
It's weird, isn't it?
Right?
of all the notes.
Did you randomly pick this, right?
Yeah, I randomly picked it.
Yeah, that's an aha moment.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fleeting note. But if you look back at this a week later, after hell at work, a long day, a long night, a couple of beers, and you're just like, what the fuck is this? Would you remember this a month later? Would you remember this 3 months later?
Yes.
The reason that this, if you don't want to do a whole chapter or paragraph, is the more specific you can get, the more you can get a firmer grasp on what this ephemeral idea was. And the thing is, if you can capture this thing in amber good enough with a thorough first pass, what happens is you don't have, listen, we don't live in the 1950s. We don't have all day just to think about these things. We have life and all these technology and notification. But if I do this right, I can come back to this next week when I do have time and I'm ready to work. And if I do it really good, I can come back to this next month or 2 months from now or 3 months from now. Let me show you something.
Wow.
This is from December 20th.
Okay.
But I have everything I need right there. I know what the hell I'm talking about here.
Mm.
You could probably tell me what I'm talking about here.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I mean by a first pass. Because when I go back to work on this, even though this is 3 months ago, I can remember the context. I can remember why of all the things I was listening to this lecture about, why this one stood out to me. How about December 9th? If something is rotten, this is a character development, maybe background setting. If something is rotten and something goes in to destroy that rot, that's a hero, that's a purpose, that's the anti-hero. That's like, and then not only that, if I open this, I have the audio recording to listen back to. That gives me the entire context.
I see.
And so I know that if I come back to this, even though this is from December 9th, I know exactly what the hell I'm talking about. And so when I look at what you're doing here, it's good. It's you captured the moment. You did. But is it enough? Did you capture enough in this first pass to, if you went back to this a month later, and look how I set this up. I mean, this literally is, if I didn't have this, like, this is basically all my parent level blocks, you know? And if I looked at it, like, if I close this one, I go back to number 3, like, this is it. About this much, this gives me enough context. When I get to, fuck man, it's crazy. Fascinating. Like, when I get to the fascinating part, or oh my God, or shit, like, that's incredibly memorable. Like, you notice how all my fleeting notes get to that point? Because that's what a fleeting note is. I don't want to capture notes that don't go, oh my God, this is like life changing.
Yeah.
Because then it does, like, like, then I'm just collecting notes again. I don't want a collection. I want connections, but I want quality connections, you know? Because if this is going to be a reflection of me, I'm a quality person. I want to see quality reflection back to me. And so when I look at your notes here, this is good. But can you go back? Can you share your screen again?
Yeah.
And let's just take a look at this, and let's just start from the beginning of that chapter again. And when you stumble back to the point where it was like, aha, can you just capture a little bit deeper fleeting note just for that little pinpoint?
Yeah. Okay, let's do that.
Enough where if you came back to this a month, 2-3 months later, because you might have to go, you know, maybe someone gets COVID and they're sick and you have to be by their bedside. You don't have time to process, but you don't want to lose this aha moment. I think you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, let's do this.
Cool. Now keep reading. Well, before you keep reading, are you excited to read more of this book right now?
Yeah, and I'll tell you why.
Tell me. And I'm videotaping this. Come on, tell me.
So the reason I'm excited is because I just struggle with concentration. That's the first thing. And throw into the mix, my job is like, you know, heavily like demanding on using my brain. I'm just exhausted after work. So the idea that I can read this first paragraph on chapter 12.7, and there's an idea contained within it, because like each permanent note is one idea, means that I can read by the paragraph and I have to, it's like completely manageable, because it just happens to be that you don't need to read a whole chapter or think of reading in terms of outputs, because whatever comes to mind is what's important. That's why I'm excited. It like lowers a barrier for me in the way I read. I read for like, what's the meaning behind this, rather than, oh, I'll go read the whole book to extract meaning behind this.
Yeah. And also the fact is, by the time you got to capturing this fleeting note, this is a proper first pass fleeting note, kind of exciting. If by the time I get to the end of it and I'm like, fuck yeah, this is amazing. I'm happy. What's the very first thing I want to do? I want to keep going. I want more happiness. And so this is why we don't stop and process this and make it into a permanent note now. No, we just capture it and then we let it go. And then we keep reading. And let's do this. Let's go ahead and go back to your captured page. Or just do this. Do Command Shift comma.
Just anywhere.
Anywhere.
Command Shift comma on. Oops.
Perfect. That's it. No, that's it. Go to the block underneath, and then create another permanent note template.
Yeah.
Go down. Yeah, there. Hit enter. Enter.
Oh right. Okay.
Enter. Double semicolon. Create a new fleeting note, and then hit space one time, and then hit Control O. Perfect. Keep reading.
Okay, so I'm now reading the next paragraph.
Do you feel like your reading's changed?
Believe it or not, just because we've been reading on, like I'm reading this book on my laptop screen, it's changed that I'm not using my iPad, but also it's felt easier in that I'm able to capture what I'm thinking as I'm reading. So it has changed in that regard. Because like otherwise you're just passive. You're like passively reading and highlighting, which is different.
Engagement is what I hear you saying.
Yes. Okay.
Wow. Block reference. Get that reference note in there. Let's make it happen.
Let's do it.
And now this is what I like. This is what I like to say. You're going to notice that the reason that this is different is because this is like what you captured was you, but you captured you right now. Because the last permanent note was captured fleeting note was about one paragraph, you know what I mean, or one note, one idea, right? Because we were talking about it, right? And so you're present and you're engaged. This one is the same thing because we were talking about day 17 and we were talking about that earlier. So now this is the difference between highlighting and book reports and me learning, because this is in this moment right now. If you read this 2 years ago, it'd be different than if you read it right now, which would be different if you read it tomorrow. And so that's the power of this. And so this is what I like to do. Let's go do shift command comma one more time. Just anywhere. Oh, you have to actually click into the fleeting note. Yeah, sorry. If you're in that block and you just do shift command comma. Perfect. And then let's zoom into that bullet point above it, relevant note, the first fleeting note you captured. Yeah, let's do that. And now let's close out that sidebar for now.
It's closed on my screen.
The right sidebar.
Oh, nice.
Perfect. And now what I'd like for you to do is I'd like for you to, that was 5-7 minutes. It's passed since you captured this fleeting note. Now let's process it. I'd like to just watch you process now.
What do you mean by process? Do a second pass?
No, now it's like, okay, we're imagining that, okay, you know what? You captured this and now it's that night or the next day and you're just ready to sort of make this into a permanent note.
I see. Okay.
Hold on, what are you doing?
Oof. I thought I was just writing a permanent note.
So when you're processing, how like you have to go through all the steps, right?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Literature notes. Cool.
Oh, well, let's do fleeting note second pass.
Okay.
You remember how to do that?
Yeah. So I'm indenting underneath the first pass.
Yeah, however you'd like. Now it's really abstracting everything that you can out of these fleeting notes in depth. Can I show you something?
Yeah, show me, go for it.
This one isn't a good one. Let me find another one. I want to show one that has like a lot of like. No, that one's not a good one either. I'm looking for one that has a lot of indentions, but I'm not finding anything. I'm just gonna let me go in here. Let's find one in here. Something like that. Just really just writing, you know. It's just like this is where the power of Rome really comes in, because it automatically organizes it, structures it for you, and it allows you to get to this point where it's like, this is the juice that you want to get to. This is the juice. Like, this is the juice, you know? But you only get there because you have to go through all this crap. I'm not calling this crap, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you allow for that to happen. So if I go back to your page or your captured note, it's like you can just indent here, indent here, indent here, indent here, whatever that looks like, until you get to that point where it's like, okay, I've abstracted everything that I can out of this. And if you look at this, this is going to sort of give you like first pass, second pass, third pass is going to be the summary, fourth pass is literature notes, and then fifth pass is literature notes summary. Sort of following that idea. But I'm going to leave you to it. Can you share your screen again? Okay.
Yeah, I can. Still have a question about the indentation, which is, I suppose I just show you like this. So now I'm on my second pass.
Mhm.
I've been viewing it as, okay, I'm on my second pass now, so I should indent. This is my second pass. And then when I do my third pass, I indent even further. So
No.
So I've been doing all that wrong.
No.
Yeah.
The first pass is just, and the first pass, the indentions don't even matter. Like, you could have the first pass all indentions too, but it's about going back to each one of those blocks and then expanding out, because each one of those blocks is like juice, you know, and you're sort of like, let's wring out everything we can about this. Reminds me of my question to Bo about one chapter, one permanent note, and just go blah, 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 blah. Then you go to the next one. You go, should I be thinking in terms of ideas rather than outputs? Blah, 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 blah. I don't know where it's going to lead you. That's the thing.
Yeah.
But if I allow for you to do it, I'd be interested to see what happens. And you know what you can do? Go ahead and highlight that text. So I should be thinking in terms of. Yeah, highlight all that text, all the ones that are in that, under that, all the sibling blocks. And then let's shift tab that back so they're all parent level blocks. That just makes it easier.
Okay.
You want me to do it on my end?
Like that.
That'll work. Yeah.
It's
Perfect.
the most easy way. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll see what you're saying. So now
I would start from the top. The top one. Yeah. And then just hit tab and then go wild. I mean, what I even like to do is I click on the bullet point that says this reminds me. And so you're completely focused on just that idea. You know?
Yeah, that's much better.
And then you're focused mode. And so you're really just, what the hell does that mean? Like, if you had to explain this to your future self, if you had to explain this to your future grandchildren, what would this mean? Because that's what you want. Because you're going to forget this note 6 years from now. And when you stumble upon this note, you want to make sure you have enough context of, how did I get to this idea again? That's how I look at it, at least. You can have very shallow notes, but that's on you.
Okay. So, and this is because
I'm just going to let you rock and roll. And when you're finished with this, go back to the other blocks and do the same thing. Focused. Get out of the block. Focus, focus. And I'm just going to go get some water.
Okay.
How do you feel?
I feel like I'm relating what I'm reading to how this could fit into my real life. So like if my objection to begin with was, well, reading, I have to read a whole book to get anything from it. No, I don't. I can just read until I encounter something, and that can happen in as little as the first few lines of a book, and then just make sure I do a first pass, just capture it and carry on with my day. And because I'll be going into my Zettelkasten anyway, later on in the evening, that's just become part of my routine. I'll see my first pass fleeting notes and I'll just iterate on them.
It's like, that's like the first, like, you know what it is like the first domino, you know, but we're not done yet. We have to see the dominoes all the way through, right? But getting that first domino down, it takes the most energy. But then it's like the second domino falls on its own, the third domino falls on its own, the fourth domino, and that's like that effortless sort of workflow that Sonke talks about. That, do you know that idea of like, what do you call it? Like being in the flow of something. And it's that same idea. You know what that feels like, right? You know what flow state feels like. I think everyone has. And it's, if you can allow that to happen more and more often, what happens is this allows for that very well. So now that you have this fleeting note, what I'd like for you to do now is go back to the top. Can you share your screen again?
Yeah.
I wanted to capture that reaction for the video. Let's scroll up to the top and let's go ahead and summarize at the top level parent block for fleeting notes. Let's summarize that big wall of text. So basically this is a thumbnail of what's inside. So if you know what I mean? So that way, when this is closed, you can still understand what's inside of it without having to open it. But if you want to open it, you can.
That's it.
And let's go ahead and close that entire wall of text. Let's collapse that bullet, the very top one for fleeting notes. Yeah.
Oops. Yeah.
Perfect. And now let's go ahead and shift click on chapter 12.7 into the sidebar. Shift click on that. Perfect. Let's close that bottom one. And this is why I was sort of, this is why I was getting so specific on people to sort of have the top level one lead directly there. Let's go to make a child block underneath literature notes. And let's do Control O to zoom in. And now, being informed by the fleeting notes that you took, let's abstract out what the author is saying now. Now we're inviting the author in and we're like, okay, what is Sonke talking about right here? In your own words, proving that you understand what he means. And obviously, if you did the fleeting notes, this should be easy. And then when you're done with that, go ahead and summarize. Do Command Shift comma to go up one block. Or just hit the literature note tag at the top, for the breadcrumb. Yeah, perfect. And then summarize at the top what you wrote below, if you would. That is fucking beautiful. Go to relevant notes, but breadcrumb. Yeah, just we have the whole picture. Let's go and expand out fleeting notes. And now I just want you to just want to ask you this question, right? You don't got nothing about the computer, right? Actually, can you stop sharing your screen just so I can?
Yep.
How does that feel?
It just feels, it feels like this is doable for me, and it's a big thing because I'm the kind of person who have lots of ideas. I'm able to read something and like think deeply about how it reminds me of something else, even beyond this Zettelkasten and stuff. And that's why I couldn't read, because I couldn't stay focused on what the author was saying. And now there's a mechanism for that, fleeting notes, so I can read. And then there's a mechanism for paying attention to what the author means. And like you've been talking about, marrying the two together. It's yeah, I don't think because of my video it's probably hard for me to explain, but it's the idea of lowering the barrier to entry for being able to think is a big thing for me, because I lost that confidence through my adulthood, just because of like the way we live our lives and get distracted and stuff. I just feel like I have an outlet for thinking. And it's very coherent because it's systematic. You can just extract, and each idea is one note.
Yeah. You know, I'm looking at the background, and it started off, it was very dark, right? And it was like the back, you know what I mean? It was nighttime. And then now I look at you and there's like this bright, the sun is out, it's a bright day. It's like you're ready to go. Things are clicking, and simplicity. It's very simple. And now you're ready to start creating a permanent note. And that's what I'd like to see now. Let's go ahead and share your screen one more time. Let's go ahead and close that source in the sidebar just so we can, yeah. The sidebar usually has a lot of RAM. It takes up a lot of RAM. So shift click permanent notes into the sidebar now. And let's move the sidebar a little bit closer to the center so we have a little bit more room and see. Excellent. And so this is what I like to do. Let's go ahead and scroll up to the top. Now, the reason that we don't write our permanent note now is because we don't know where it fits yet. Like the only time, you know this, right? You want me to repeat this?
Go for it.
So the only time we ever write a permanent note after the literature notes is only the very first note in our Zettelkasten. That's it. You never write a permanent note from just the fleeting notes and the literature notes, because then it's in what they call an atomic note. I don't even know what the hell that means. I don't think they know what that means, right? But that's not what a Zettelkasten is. That's an archive. That's a collection. That's top down. This is bottom up. I love this, by the way. If you look at it, it's literally bottom up structure, right?
Yes, yeah.
But if you open the permanent notes page in the sidebar, now you have all your notes that we're going to imagine that you wrote. Let's go ahead and scroll up to the top, though, before we do this. Let's scroll up to the right, click on permanent notes, in the bold right there, the page name, and let's collapse them all, collapse everything.
On this one?
Oh, no, on the sidebar. Yeah, right click on that and collapse all. Perfect. Now we get to see all the parent level blocks. And this is especially if you have a lot of notes, you don't know what all your notes are, right? And so you want to know from the information, by the way, which is to be informed, or information, right? Being informed by the fleeting notes and being informed by the literature notes. Where does this what conversation do you want to continue next? Writing, structure, connecting, learning, teaching, fear, happiness, thinking, uniqueness, wisdom.
Quick question.
What's the conversation that you want to continue?
So these kind of blocks here are individual conversations which have been started?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, that makes sense, because I can indent and I can see the actual conversation. Cool. Yeah, so I would connect this to what this reminds me of.
And you can sort of, open up blocks and see, you know what I mean? See if they have children blocks and see if they can, you know what I mean?
This one does instinctively resonate.
Perfect.
So I would say this.
So would this go creativity emergence, or creativity design, or just creativity blank?
So what would this connection be?
Looks like you're thinking. Imagine if these were your notes. Imagine if you wrote all these notes. That means you'd be thinking with a communication partner, it looks like. Just saying. Could be.
I think it would be a child of creativity.
Just creativity. Let's do that. Let's go ahead and create a new child block underneath creativity. Perfect. And then do hashtag. Yeah. And then that's your index note. What's the 1 or 2 words that would complete the sentence? Creativity blank, being informed by the bottom up information from the fleeting and literature notes. It's not a linear process, by the way. It's a tripod. So it's like being informed by that. What's creativity blank?
Oops, what am I doing?
And guess what? You can look back at your fleeting notes right there. You can see, you know what I mean?
I'm not sure if that's too much.
How could you simplify that?
I could simplify it by calling it.
Maybe even read through your fleeting notes, because they're all there. Okay, that's perfect. So I would do a capital I just for, just because it's keeping in.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then now you write your permanent note. So now you go, well, I wait to do the brackets because it kind of gets in the way with the fuzzy search. So I'll just write the sentence. Now it's time to declare. Now the root word of declarative, by the way, is clarer, which means clarity. And being informed by the fleeting notes, the literature notes, and the reference note, you're looking at incremental, creativity incremental. Obviously, there's a connection. There's a thematic connection. Thematic, basically, if you look at the root word of theme, it just means to put in position. All you're doing is putting it into a position. And if there's a relationship between creativity and incremental, that means there's a relationship between the permanent note creativity and the permanent note you're about to create. So incremental is the thumbnail. What's the high resolution 20 megapixel photograph? being informed by the fleeting in literature notes, what's your declarative statement?
Okay. This one's a hard one. This is forcing me to think because I'm thinking in relation to the conversation. Reuse just sounds really transactional as a word. I'll just say that for the meantime. I've got the word. Does that sound like bullshit? Makes sense to me.
You tell me, are you done?
Yeah. Yeah.
I want you to close your eyes now, okay? Okay? I'm just going to say something. I just want to let you just tell me if it makes sense, okay?
Okay.
Creative ideas need time to develop, and good ideas live next to other good ideas. We can see its emergence with a good tool. You should think in terms of singular ideas and singular notes so you can connect these ideas to multiple conversations over the course of a lifetime.
That makes sense to me.
That to me is like one of those, like, it's like a Naval tweet. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, that's like dense. And the reason that works so easily is because if you have a thematic connection between creativity and you have a thematic connection to incremental, and if creativity has a one-to-one relationship between the index to the permanent note, that means automatically the incremental is going to have a one-to-one relationship to that permanent note. It automatically connects those two permanent note ideas without having to read the whole damn permanent note, which is confusing and complex. He said, wow, huh?
Yeah.
This is why I do it. and I'm going to tweet it too. I'm not going to say your name, but coaching session, them. This is forcing me to think. Yes. But is it really thinking? I mean, you're having fun. You know what I mean? You're building knowledge. And so let's go ahead and highlight that text, do a double brackets. Make that into a permanent note. Perfect. You can highlight the text too. You know that, right? You could have highlighted the text and hit double bracket. That would have done the same thing.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
All these little things.
Yeah. And then now now you've just crystallized your thought. And that's in the Zettelkasten, which is the permanent notes page. But now we need to link this to the daily notes page, which we forgot to do. We didn't do this on the daily notes page. So let's do this. How are we gonna do this? Let's shift click your captured page into the sidebar. Yeah, click on that breadcrumb. Click on the breadcrumb once, and then shift click on that. On the name.
I'm using my trackpad. Cool. Yeah.
Perfect. And then let's go to the daily notes page. And let's scroll down a little bit and let's, yeah, right there, hit enter. Let's do the current time. And then you don't even have to do enter. Hit delete real quick. And then just drag that relevant note at the top in your fleeting notes page, in your captured page, the relevant note, and then drag that underneath as a child block. I'm just saving you a step.
Do I just, because I've been doing this and it's not, maybe I've been doing it wrong. Here, like this.
Right there, perfect.
Oh,
Voila.
suddenly it's worked.
This is what I do. Let's go to,
It's like when you call a company, you know, when your internet's not working and you call them up and you're like really angry, our internet's not working. And the question they ask is it connected to the router? And you look and it's not. The plug's not in the socket. Humiliation. Yeah, carry on, Sam.
there we go. Let's go ahead and close your captured page now. Scroll up to the top. Not the whole sidebar, just this. Yeah, just that, the X next to the 1. Perfect. And now we can see the permanent notes page. And then let's close the left sidebar just so we can clean it up a little bit so I can be clear. And let's click on the bullet point next to 649. Control O, that will work. No. Hit delete. Yeah, that works. That's perfect. Okay. So now you have the permanent notes page and this in the Zettelkasten, and you have the permanent note there with the index. But now you need to connect this to the actual permanent note that you created, right? Or the fleeting notes and the literature notes. So now you go the relevant notes exactly. Go ahead and do bracket. What did you call this?
Incremental.
Incremental, exactly.
Ooh.
And then use the top one. Perfect. And then the permanent note, same thing. Bracket. And there you go. And now you've just connected. Now this is what happens when you click on you should think in terms of singular ideas. Click on that. Yeah. Now when you look at it, scroll down, you have the linked references are oftentimes used incorrectly, in my opinion. When you have 65 linked references, are you really finding anything? Right now, you have 2 pieces of information in your linked references, okay? For this permanent note. You have the daily notes page and the permanent notes page, right? The daily notes page is going to give you the permanent note, the literature note, the fleeting note, abstractions, and the reference note. The permanent note page shows you exactly where it's located in the Zettelkasten. You'll notice incremental and above it creativity.
Yeah.
You don't have to, you know exactly where you are right now, right? You don't have to mess around and find other things. And that's the point. And so let's go ahead and do back on the browser. And so now what we want to do is now we want to connect because like a permanent note is nothing by itself. Now we want to start connecting it. So let's go back scroll up to the top of the permanent notes page. Let's expand all by right-clicking on permanent notes. Perfect. And now we want to do this. Obviously, there's a relationship between indexes. What I want you to do is quickly scan through all of the indexes in your Zettelkasten and holding Option or Alt, drag over any permanent notes that are any way related to incremental that you would like to stumble upon later, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. So hang on, what was the shortcut to drag?
Are you on Mac?
Yeah.
Option, hold Option. And you can just keep Option held down, and then any bullet point next to that permanent note, the bullet point, you have to drag over the bullet point, and then you drag it underneath relevant notes.
Okay. So I felt like I did this for the first time that felt maybe like how I would expect it should be, which is I was actually doing it fairly quickly yesterday. I wasn't thinking too much. So I was just, like that. So
Yeah.
I'm going to do it.
That's exactly how you should do it.
Okay, let's do this.
And I like to do it where if I was surprising myself.
It felt more serendipitous.
Yeah, exactly. I want to create as much insight as I can. Now you need to remember that when Lumen was doing this, like he had an index card that was 3x5. He literally had like 1 or 2 connected nodes. You have the whole block, bro. You can do 20. And so what you've essentially done is you've exponentially multiplied the amount of connections that you can do. Which that deserves a big aha, wow. But you won't see that until you have your Untitled casted. Now look at the location of where that is.
Yeah, it's indented.
Yeah, and again, I think I talked to you about this. We want to have the permanent notes, all the permanent notes on the same family tree. And so exactly. And because if you look at it, even though that's a block reference, it's still a permanent note, and it's on the same sibling block as your actual permanent note.
What? See, I'm just dragging, and it automatically indents.
This is why I don't have that extra indent or that extra. Yeah. So basically, what I do is I can I just show you something?
Yeah.
Let me share my screen. So basically, if I'm over here, right, I'm going to go to the daily notes page. Zoom this out. Right. So instead of having that period there, now this is what I was talking about, by the way. This is a permanent note. This is a permanent note. This is a permanent note. They're all in the same tree, right? And so basically what I'll do is I'll just expand all here, and I'll just hold Option, Alt, and I'll drag it underneath relevant notes. And if I do that, it's automatically the right position. If I do it here, it kind of gets wonky, right? But if I do it right underneath relevant notes, right underneath relevant notes, right? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know what I did here. That went above it, obviously. But I'm going to let you do it. I'm going to let you get back to it. And if you can share your screen again.
So hang on. I did lose concentration there because my battery went out. So yes. Can you just do that bit again? You said right into relevant notes.
Yes, I'll do it right now. So basically, what I'll do is I'll hold Option or Alt. And so did you get this part though? This is a permanent note right here, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just block referencing it, but it is a permanent note. It has an index. It has the permanent note here. This is a permanent note as well. This is a permanent note as well. And then this is a permanent note as well. And so if you look at it, this, like, they're all sibling blocks. And that's why we put the relevant notes on this, because that at the very top is the relevant notes tag. And then underneath you have children underneath that, and they're all siblings. They're all brothers, sisters, including the permanent note. And that's how you know you did it right. And so if I hold Option or Alt, instead of dragging it in here in the middle or trying to do it here in the bottom, I just do it right underneath relevant notes as a child block. And then it automatically becomes a child block. And I just keep scrolling down. I just keep going down. I'm like, okay. And also, if my permanent note is down here, obviously it's down here, right? What I'll do is I'll actually go the furthest place away to try to make relevant note connections. Because if I can have notes connect that are the furthest away, that raises the probability of insight, doesn't it? Completely different threads of thought. If I can connect two different threads of thought through the index, I can see the jump between carrot, rabbit, garden. You know?
A question.
Yes.
Isn't that where the magic is then? So like with intention, trying to find unusual connections rather than obvious connections.
I do both.
You do both.
I'll do antonyms, synonyms, similar items, completely different items. You know what I mean? Just interesting things as well. But you can't control it. You know what I mean? You're just going to stumble upon it. But I like to create as much serendipity as I can.
That makes sense.
Allow for as much serendipity as I can. So can you want to share your screen? I just want to watch as you connect these relevant notes. Perfect.
Okay, so personal transformation. So doing things iteratively. over time subtly creates personal transformation. You won't know it, but it does. You forget who you used to be. That you used to be really crap at reading.
Imagine if these were all your notes.
Yeah.
Every time you made a new permanent note, you're reading through every one of the permanent notes that you've ever written. This is what they call spaced repetition. Oh, no, but we need flashcards for that. I'm sorry. We need flashcards for spaced repetition.
Transformation, process, separation.
Maybe process? I mean, incremental process?
Yeah.
Right? Maybe scaffold? Doesn't scaffold go up incrementally? I would pull over as many as you want. Like, it's like if you collapse the relevant nodes block, it's all hidden behind a timestamp. The complexity is hidden behind the simplicity. So there's no, you know what I mean? It's about stumbling upon this. Incremental structure, incremental stories, incremental technology, incremental pain. Incremental pain? That's interesting. Incremental that you know what I mean? That's what I do. I get off on that. I like, no, but I mean, like whatever, like incremental optionality and incremental deliberate practice. That's great. Incremental seeking truth.
Yeah, that one resonates.
You know, then if it, go back on the browser, hold Option or Alt, drag over, I think it was
truth.
Deliberate practice. No, it was, what was it? I think it was lower. Yeah. Seeking truth, incremental seeking truth. Was that what that was? I forget.
It was truth or seeking truth, yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying though? This is the fun part. Oh my God, it's so fun.
Yeah, I have to say this bit is the most fun part.
Yeah.
Because they're all your notes, aren't they?
Yes.
That have built up over time. And now you're like playing with them.
That's what I had.
Yeah,
I had a hard time conveying that though, because everyone was getting mad because they're like, these aren't my notes. But I was like, no, I want you to imagine that they were your notes. How fascinating would that be? And it's really about, can I provide enough motivation so they can go past all the obstacles to create their own Zettelkasten? It's going to take about 3 months before you hit a critical mass. 3 to 6 months, probably.
But it's so much more manageable. 1 idea per note.
I do anywhere between 6 to 12. I mean, everything is connected anyways. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not like you have any lost notes.
So that's mine then.
Are you all the way to the bottom of the list?
Ooh, no.
I go all the way through though. I make sure I go all the way through. And evidently, I mean, it's obvious that, because we have over 200, I think we're close to 200 here, 200 permanent nodes, what happens is now it's just unruly. And so now you can start using queries. Now you can start using filters. Now you can start creating pages. Do you know what I'm saying? But we only need to do that because the complexity mandates that we have to now.
To be honest, there's almost like infinite possibilities as I'm scrolling through, that I'm getting to the state where I would be like very picky and stuff, which is great, isn't it, to be in that position? And I think this goes back to what Sonke talks about. I'm saying like, where he's like, you don't have to think about what you're going to write about because the work is all done for you here in the right-hand sidebar. You just pick and choose.
Yeah. You pick and choose, and then you're like this is the feeling that I have when I go through my Zettelkasten. It's like I get to pick and choose, but then it's like, wait, I wrote that.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh my God, I forgot that I wrote that. But then because it's all in the block, it shows me how I got to that thought. That the relief that you're gonna feel, oh my God, it's so good. If there was one less decision I had to make in my life, and that was, hey, I don't need to know where my learning goes anymore. I don't need to know where things I consume go anymore. Like, talk about I'm able to focus more on what I want in life now. Why? Why do you think that is? It's not a mistake. It's because it's like, oh, the learning part of my brain has been offloaded to the computer. Huh.
It's not forgotten, is it? So like notes that I've captured maybe 6 months ago, I will stumble upon those notes like I'm doing now. I'm scrolling down here. So not only will I remember things, they never lose value because you're forced to interact with them through that process of like connecting ideas. It's it's like
How
a
much
toy.
how much smarter do you think you get too? Because you're learning it. Not only are you learning it, you're rehashing it, you're reconnecting it, then you're using it, and then you're like, I've seen this note 20 times in the last month because I've done 20 permanent notes and they've all connected to this one. There's nothing compares.
Nothing does. For me, this is it. I feel like I get it now. At a brush level, I feel. Do you think I do from the way I've been relaying my perspective?
Say that again.
Do you think I'm getting it?
Do you think you're getting it?
I do, yeah. I suppose I just need that reassurance
How do you
because
know? How do you know?
the reason I know is because just then, when we're connecting ideas, that's the main bit, isn't it? Um, that's why I think I'm getting it because I'm looking through. Let's just say these are all my permanent notes built up over 12 months. I'm trying to connect them serendipitously with intention, trying to find unusual connections as well as, like you said, connections.
And so the next step is like where everyone should be at now is once that connection happens, let it simmer a little bit, let it digest, let it really like, whoa, right? And then the next thing you need to do is going, how can I make sure that I know exactly what I need to do when I'm reading something and I need to capture it? What exactly do I need to do? What tool do I need? Do you know what I'm saying? And it's like, okay, this is why I was making everyone do the daily habits. Because it's like, okay, what tool do I have? So how do I usually capture ideas? Okay, well, it's usually a physical book. Okay, well, I need to be able to capture this fleeting note while I have a physical book in my hand. What tools do I have around me? I have a notepad, I have a highlighter, and I have my phone. Cool. I've got a phone and a physical book. What else can I do? Well, I think Readwise has OCR. I can do a screenshot. Okay, cool. So I've got this covered now. And so now that if I have a physical book and my iPhone or smartphone, I can do OCR with Readwise, which will sync. Perfect. And it's about that. But I can't teach that because everyone has their own needs, tools, wants, and desires. And that's the part of the journey that you're on now. Figuring out and here's the thing. Capturing of the fleeting notes has to be the most frictionless thing possible. It has to be. Because they're so ephemeral. If you don't capture it, I think I told you this earlier. It's like I had a Siri shortcut where I actually had to verbalize it. Me waiting for Siri to go, okay, what's the timestamp? And me going 38 minutes and 29 seconds. By me doing that, I forgot what the fleeting note was. All I had to do was change, and I was getting pissed because I was like, I hate doing this. I changed one thing. This took me like weeks, by the way. I was just happy that I was able to timestamp YouTube videos, right? And then it took me like a couple of weeks, and then finally I was like, I'm gonna change my Siri shortcut, which no one could have told me that's what I needed to do. I had to learn that. You have to learn that, whatever that is. And then after a couple of weeks, I was like, what if I typed it instead of speaking it out loud? And I was like, oh, that's it. And so and then I was able to capture I'm able to capture fleeting notes now without breaking my fleeting note state. And so that's what I want you to start focusing on now. I mean, make a couple more permanent notes just so you can drive it home a little bit, watch back this video. But then it's like, okay, I see it. I want my own personal Zettelkasten. I need to build that out now. How do I do that? Number one thing is figuring out how you're going to capture these fleeting notes. And then the second thing is I need to create I need to know how this is going to come, how this is going to enter into Rome, right? Because if I look on my page here, if I look at my page, I have 3 different captured pages. I have captured books with nothing in there at the moment. I have captured YouTube, which I have 4, right? And then I have captured daily. And look at this, and just compare the lists. I look at this and I'm like, I don't want to do this. This is too much. 23 is too much. I'm overwhelmed. I don't want to work on this. But this is okay. And so just imagine this, okay? You captured it and you figured out how to get this information into Rome, and you've limited it to say, it's like the photos. Remember the photo exercise? Why was it so difficult? Because anything more than 7 plus or minus 2 is overwhelming. I don't want to do it. That was intentional, by the way. And so with 4, imagine this. I'm in the daily notes page, and you know what? It's been a long day at work, but you know what? I have a little bit of free time. And I'm like, you know what? I want to add a new permanent, like Lumen only worked when he wanted to work. And he's like, you know what? I want to work today. I want to work right now. So all I need to do is this. This is literally my workflow. I do current time. I open up this into the sidebar and I go, let's work. Got my reference note. I've got my fleeting note, first pass. All I need to do, abstract. That's literally all I need to do. When I want to work, I get to work. No friction at all. But you can't do it. You have to figure that out for yourself. But you have enough motivation because you felt what it feels like to have that, whoa, this is making me think. 100%. And that is what it's all about. So I think you're on the way. Understand that it's going to take anywhere between 3 to 6 months to hit the critical mass of permanent notes. Once you have the clustering and the critical mass of permanent notes all in your own words, and you see the nested sequence and you see the linked references and you see your reflection back at you, you don't need anybody. You don't need anybody now. No, you don't. Like, you know how to ride a bicycle. You can either ride the Tour de France or you can just ride down to the supermarket. Whatever you want to do. But 20 years later, if I told you to get on a bicycle, you would know how to ride. That's what it's all about. And this is why I do it. This is why I do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, this call, I have to say, is just reassuring. Above and beyond everything else.
Yeah.
It's reassuring because it confirms that I'm getting it. Yes. But I can't believe that I get it. I think just at the beginning, I had to watch some of, just rewatching videos over and over again, and just like, this is too much. But I'm going to just go through the motions of doing it and see what happens at the end. Can't believe it.
Can I show you something?
Yeah.
I bet you're wondering, like, man, I think I'm getting it, right? Can I just show you something?
Sure.
I've already been doing it.
And this is it. I'm surprised.
What is this? What does this look like? Does this look like a structure that you've seen before? Does this look like something you were doing before? I don't know. It could be. I don't know. Maybe I planned this from the beginning. Maybe I was like, how can I get people to start writing in Rome and learn structure? I don't know. Maybe it could be. Maybe this is all supposed to be. Maybe this is all supposed to be sibling blocks. I don't know. I'm just thinking. Timestamp? Why the hell is he making me do timestamps? And guess what? If this was a page, that would lead you to the same place, wouldn't it?
Mm.
And you asked me if you're getting it. I've been making you do it since day one.
But it's bite-sized, you know, it's like completely manageable. The overwhelm comes from, and like at the beginning, everything feels complex to understand, to like comprehend. Now the complexity seems to be more in the actual doing like the thinking, but that's so much more accessible because one idea per note. I read a paragraph in a book this evening, just one paragraph. I might have a wow, this is a great idea. It's so much easier than thinking I have to read the whole goddamn book, or I can start extracting and finding usefulness out of it.
It takes me like 4 days to go through like an 8-page PDF. but is it really that though? Because it's compound interest, you know? Because these notes aren't a graveyard anymore. Anyways, I don't want to belabor the point. I think you got it. I know you got it. Keep chomping at the bit. I would do a couple more. Just get that ingrained in you. And then you're going to start realizing, I got to figure out how to do this on my own. And then that's going to automatically compel you to figure out how to do that on your own. And that's going to automatically compel you how to structure it in Rome for your personal rap. And that's going to automatically compel you how to organize it. Do you know what I mean? It's the domino started on day one. The domino started an hour ago, right? With that fleeting note. Now it's do-do-do-do-do-do. It doesn't take any more energy unless you stop. If you stop, if there's no domino next, then of course the energy is going to stop. But as long as you just allow the next domino to fall over, you already put the energy in the beginning of this evening or this morning. That's it. That momentum carries you forward. And this is this virtuous cycle. It's not the vicious cycle anymore. It's the virtuous cycle that Sonke talks about in the book.
I feel like I'm on that cycle now.
Yeah, I know. I can tell.
Because it's easier now, isn't it? Now I feel like I understand it, and now one note at a time, that's just manageable. It's self-fulfilling prophecy. It's just going to happen.
And trust in the community as well. Like you know what I mean? Like I'm super busy with all this, but the community is so powerful. This group right now, and I don't know how I'm gonna keep everyone engaged, but I just telling you right now, there's nothing like you have to find an accountability partner too. You know, you have to find someone to be accountable with. If all else, like I want you to find someone in the community before you just start DMing me, but you can DM me, of course, as well. After every permanent note that you add to your graph, you check in with your accountability partner. You go, hey, 2, hey, 3, hey, 4, hey, 10, 12, 13. You have to. That's what I did. And yeah, I'm going to upload this video. Phenomenal work.
Thank you.
Proud of you. I'm excited to see where this goes for you, and you know how to ride a bike.
Well, thank you for just taking the time and being really detailed and practical and honest with me. I really appreciate that. Can't tell you that enough.
My pleasure. I don't know where it's coming from, dude. Like
neither do I.
I have every reason to just like not, but I'm just like, I'm here. It's fun. It's cool. I don't know where this energy is coming from. This is my 8th coaching session tonight.
I don't understand where this energy is coming from.
I don't know. I think it's because of this. I think it's because of those aha moments. And it's like, I know that it's like the ripple effect, you know? I'm only one ripple. But if I can inspire you to be the ripple in your pond and this person to inspire them to be the ripple in their pond, then it's like, that's world changing. You know?
For me, I'll tell you what, where I see the potential of Zettelkasten and why I find it a lot more transcendent than maybe like talking about it through the lens of like Rome and capturing notes. It's about the learning aspect, as in when I was younger, I didn't really do well at school because I was a daydreamer. I was doing fleeting notes in class, so I wasn't able to concentrate on what the author was saying, what the teacher was saying, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. I was too busy connecting, and so that I wasn't paying attention. So I was doing Zettelkasten as a kid, but I wasn't inviting the teacher in. So I wasn't learning in the way that school or education system wanted me to learn. So I didn't do really well. And the magic, not the magic, I feel like something like Zettelkasten could be used to teach kids how to learn for themselves. Because like that passage you extracted a few weeks ago about the teacher, imagine kids building that kind of self-knowledge. Jars against the way we talk.
Chill.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You know what I mean? That's like awesome. Awe. I'm in awe of something like that. I don't think I can do it, but if I can inspire the one that would, that could, that does, I can die happy. You know, I did my job.
Well, I'm telling people about this. I like saying the name Zettelkasten. Oh yeah, I'm not coming out tonight because I'm just my plans are I'm doing a bit of Zettelkasten. They're like, what's Zettelkasten? It's such an enigma to them. And they're like, whoa,
You don't
that
know
sounds so
about
cool.
this?
Look, you enter into this whole world, right, where there's disparate ideas and you intentionally try to connect them. Wow. So yeah, but you have to put the work in first. I'm just learning it. It's like some secret, like.
Send him into RBC4, man. I've got a waiting list for Rome Book Club 4. More people need to know about this, man.
Yeah, man.
Awesome, bro. Listen,
bro.
It's a pleasure talking to you, and I'm proud of you. And yeah, this is an awesome journey. I'm just grateful that I have other people to walk this journey with, you know?
Thanks, bro.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it.
I'll see you, man.
So much.
Have a great day.
I'll see you on Sunday.
Okay.
All right then.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.